All right. Welcome to JDC West 2022 not-for-profit case presentation. Thank you to our judges, Nancy Parker, David Adelknov, Phil Bobby, Eric Maclees, and Sarah Wilson. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. Competitors, you will see Zoom chat notifications at various intervals to indicate the remaining time. Any speaker who continues to speak after the maximum time limit will be stopped. No questions or comments will be permitted from the audience. All judges are asked to have their microphones muted during the presentations. The audience is banned from any material or naming convention that bears the name or symbol of a competing university. We ask that the audience leave the Zoom call immediately following the presentation. Judges, please stay on this call until I advise you to move to the next call. Competitors, you may begin your presentation.
Just to confirm, is that showing up all right?
Yep, it's showing up.
Perfect. In the house that I grew up on, there was a plaque on the wall. And on that plaque, there were 6 words. Home is where the heart is. For me and my family, home was where we were comfortable, where we could be vulnerable with each other, where we could grow and support each other. And that's really what a home is supposed to be. And that's what your organization aims to provide for people who have substance use disorder and substance use. My name is Nathaniel. Today I'm joined with Maggie and Riley, and we're Compass Consulting, here to help you find the compass metric that will guide you to your goals and mission. And in building a house, you know the value of that. And so your organization, Renew, you're trying to meet your funding goals to launch Freedom House and maximize support for individuals and families affected by substance use.
So to answer this hefty question, we are so excited to present our overarching strategy, Home is where the heart is, broken down into 3 parts. First, setting your foundation, looking at how Renew can engage its current base of aging donors. Next, building your support. We'll be answering how Renew can connect with new, younger donors. And lastly, we'll be looking at securing your home, addressing how Renew can resolve its current human capacity challenges. All of this to help you reach a compass metric of the number of constituents recovering. And before we go into our first strategy, let's take a look at your current situation. Ms. McAllister and judges, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have increased the demand for Renew services to an all-time high. It's resulted in your capacity challenges, which may be resolved by Freedom Home. But in order to turn your Freedom Home dream into reality, you need to raise $6.5 million within the next 3 years. And that means you must act now in order to achieve this goal. Otherwise, you're only losing time to provide holistic services to support people who use substances and allow individuals and families to receive the help they need all in one single facility. And we're here today to help you develop a strategy to tackle this opportunity. So let's dive into our first strategy, which is setting your foundation. If we're looking at your current donor base, we see that people like Derek here give twice as much as younger Canadians. He comes from a generous donation with established careers and want to leave behind this legacy. However, one important consideration is that they're infrequent users of social media, and your team has recently been prioritizing engagement on these digital platforms, but is not effectively reaching your current donors. Now, why is this important? Well, Derek lives in Manitoba, Canada's leading province in charitable giving, where nearly 1/4 of Manitobans claim charitable contributions, and they have the highest percentage of aggregate income donated to charity. And so from these insights, we derive the takeaway that senior donors are generous, but they do not currently engage with their digital platforms or social media. And so we want to look at what you can do to engage your growing donor base.
In addressing this, you want to know what raising champion donors looks like. And this is what we're calling a legacy that renews. And the goal is to have 32 donation champions in support of your fundraising efforts. There's 2 things that we need to get out of the way first with regards to raising trust and raising engagement before we can move to raising champions. With raising trust, We know that trust and transparency is vital to this group. And so we want to provide donors with transparent financials, as well as consistent communication that talks about your impact and your progress towards your goals and commitments. With engagements, you want to reach them in the right places at the right time. And so you want to channel your engagement to direct email campaigns, building convenience and personalization, which is important to this group. Ultimately, that comes to our Renewing Legacy donation program, which is a tiered donation matching program in conjunction with our second recommendation, #gaming4good. So one of the key considerations that people like Derek would have is, why should I donate to Renew? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One of them, that is one of the largest, is legacy. As Maggie mentioned earlier, this is important to people like Derek. And so you want to be remembered for your contributions. You want to be remembered for what you've done. And this is a great opportunity to do so. Secondly, there's reasons within the donor. So these could be a family member, a friend, even maybe themselves who are affected by substance use or substance use disorder. And this is a way for them to give back to the community and to the people that once helped them as well. And finally, community. Maybe it's that they grew up in Manitoba, maybe that they lived and worked, maybe all of them, that they were able to have a life in Manitoba. And this is a great way to build their community further and strengthen that community. And so as a result, you're going to be raising $2 million in funds, and 95 individuals will benefit from your provided support.
So the key players a part of this recommendation are your donor outreach coordination and coordinator, as well as the donor champions. And so here we've attached a tier structure as to what these different donor champion sponsorship options look like. And so as you can see here, we have gold, silver, and bronze. And the overall target here, as my colleague Ethan mentioned, is to raise $2 million. So this looks at targeting 2 gold, 5 silver, and 25 bronze. And so you may ask, what does this whole outreach look like? Well, it first starts at identifying the Derek's within your network and within Manitoba that fulfill these criteria of being over 55 and being a Manitoba resident and having had no large donations made. And so in these channels, you're looking through digital public records as well as Statistics Canada to help you find these individuals that fit Derek's profile. And so once you've identified these Derek's within your community, it is then your task to outreach via email. And so this looks at emailing these potential donor champions and communicating that 90% of these proceeds will go to programming and really communicating that transparency with your financing. And so with those individuals who are interested in supporting your organization, you will then call them to organize an in-person or consultation over Zoom. And so we've attached a funnel here as to the individuals you need to target and the different methods in which you're doing so. And so starting off at the very top, there's around 8,300 individuals that fit the profile of having 300,000 and above in income. And we believe that this bracket is the best to target in your donor champion outreach. And so with this email outreach, you're targeting these individuals and communicating that you're a nationwide all-encompassing network of rehabilitation centers, and that about, again, those 90% of proceeds are going towards funding individuals going through the rehabilitation process. And so we believe that by targeting these individuals through email, there's a 3% conversion rate. And to the individuals that do want to have a phone consultation. And so in this phone consultation, again, you're reiterating that you're thankful for their interest within your organization and would love to discuss more donation offerings over a Zoom consultation. And we understand that if it were not COVID climate times, if people have to meet in person or being understanding of the circumstance, we provided this flexibility here. And so as a result, this 30% conversion converts people to the Zoom consultation, where we believe a total of 32 individuals will become your donor champions. And so moving on, we want to iterate and give an example as to how these donations all work together. And so we used a house, kind of an associated with your Freedom House. And so we believe with this first recommendation of establishing your donor champions, you're building the base. You're raising $2 million in funds necessary to continue to build your facility. And so a key metric that we believe that you should look at are the actual donor champions that you're reaching and the funds received from these individuals. And so by raising $2 million, you're actively helping 95 people through the rehabilitation process.
Now that we've addressed how to set your foundation with your current base of donors, we want to look at how you can build your support through new donors. Ms. McAllister, you have an opportunity to attract new donors as well as retaining your current existing donors in order to reach your funding goal. Industry research has shown that since the COVID-19 pandemic, online giving trends grew 86% year over year with a 2.2 growth rate for social services nonprofit organizations. However, there's skepticism among younger audiences, including Gen Z and millennials, and they are an important demographic to consider because they will impact future donations. If we're looking at this group, we notice two key perceptual barriers they have to donating. One is, will my dollars even make an impact? They don't know if they donate smaller amounts, if that will really make an impact. And so in your communications, it's important to show the impact of dollars, no matter how big or how small. The second one being that there are so many charities asking people for support. And so these audiences might wonder, why should I donate to Renew? And so it's important here to leverage your competitive advantage in your strategy in order to attract these new and younger donors in order to reach your funding goals. And we're so excited to help you increase your online donations to fund Freedom House by overcoming these perceptual barriers of donors.
In overcoming these perceptual barriers, let's talk about who you should consider. And we've laid out a couple of groups here with corporate sponsors, artists, grants, and donors. And more importantly, we also want to consider what your organization cares about. Do you have a limited time frame on your project? And so this is a big consideration. You have 3 years. Resources needed includes your capacity, which is already at its maximum. And so you can't have anything that's super constraining on your resources needed. And finally, feasibility, considering COVID-19 restrictions. With government grants, they not only take a lot of time to apply for and receive, but given the COVID-19 circumstances, a lot of that funding that was initially available is now being directed towards relief and healthcare. For corporations, small to medium businesses are currently strapped for resources as is due to COVID-19, and making partnerships like these are less likely given your short time frame. Which leaves us with individuals. And there's a great match, as the resources required is actually lower than the other recommendations, and feasibility amid COVID-19 is much higher as they are individuals. So I'm very excited today to talk about #GamingForGood, which is a charity live-a-thon with the tagline, preventing today, supporting tomorrow, and building community. And it's a play that goes off of your unique advantage of not only providing care for the short term, but providing an all-intensive care. And your goal here is to raise $4.5 million in funds over 3 years. There's 3 main aspects. One is coordinating social media. The second is partnering with streamers and personalities who will help push this campaign. And finally is the live charity stream, where they'll get to engage with donors and talk about your organization in more depth. As a result, 214 individuals will be will be provided with the support they need. And there's a case study here that I like to bring up from what is called Thankmas, which was a charity stream from a couple months ago, hosted by a YouTube and Twitch streamer known as Jacksepticeye. He partnered with other content creators to support a nonprofit called New Story, which builds houses in Mexico. And total, they raised $7,624,000 in a few days. So we know it works, but what does this ideal stream partner look like? Who's pushing this narrative? Well, we found it came down to 3 things. One is passion or a personal cause, a reason for them to be involved. Second, having a large online following makes it easier for your organization to run this campaign, as you need less creators and you'd have larger communities and larger audiences. And finally, brand alignment. We understand that your organization deals with a sensitive topic and people who are in need of your services. And we want to make sure that the partners online that we're partnering with reflect these values. One such recommendation would be to partner with Alok Kanodia, who is also known as Healthy Gamer GG online. He's a psychiatrist and a strong advocate for mental health and substance use, as he talks to other Twitch and content creators online. He also has a large following because of his huge network, and his laid back and professional tone on stream makes it an easy way to connect with younger donors.
So the key people involved in bringing this recommendation to life are your marketing coordinator, who will lead the Twitch stream awareness campaign across various media, which I'll talk about, and the fundraising coordinator, who will be in touch with these Twitch streamers to coordinate these different Twitch streaming events. And so looking at these different media outreach awareness initiatives, what does this look like? So we have Facebook and Twitter as means to announce that this new partnership with these Twitch streamers. And so this provides an opportunity for a younger audience to be aware of your new collaboration with these Twitch streamers and to advocate for these new events. And so the Instagram Live is another layer here that you're able to partner with these individual Twitch streamers, which you're able to share and talk about what these Twitch streams will look like, in addition to the messaging of both of the parties involved. And so when you're running this event, what does this look like? So essentially you have the Twitch streamer who is able to not only talk about their own personal stories on the matter, as well as their own prepared content, but their key messaging here is to update individuals and viewers on the progress of the Freedom House and the fundraising goal as pertains to each year. And so again, the key messaging here is to donate to fund their Freedom House. And so as the viewer, they would be directed to a URL that would pretty much process you to a PayPal account. And then through this PayPal account, you would then be able to donate to the joined collaborative page between the Twitch streamer and your organization. And so what does this look like in terms of finances? Well, per Twitch stream, as per industry research, our analysis shows that on average 20,000 is made. And so with this happening 10 times throughout each year, this is annually $200,000 before any of the donor champion multiples are applied. And so once the gold, silver, and bronze multiples are applied, this actually leads you to $1.5 million raised per year. And having this occur over 3 different years, this will raise $4.5 million for your organization. And so revisiting our example about building the house. Now that we have micro donations, you're able to not only add the complementary pieces to this house, you're able to have these individuals, these younger generations now interact with your organization. And now in combined funds, you now have a finished house. You have your finished Freedom House of not only champions who have sold the base, but you also have the micro donors and pair with the multiples of the donor champions that are providing you with that 6.5 million funds needed to fund your Freedom House. And so the key metric here that we want to shine light on are the Twitch streamers, as well as hashtag searches as they show engagement with your organization. And so raising $4.5 million, you're going to be helping 214 individuals through the recovery process.
After building your support, let's look at how you can secure your home by addressing your human capacity challenges. Now, with the effects of COVID-19, charities have been prioritizing immediate challenges over building organizational capacity. And this observation raises an ethical concern because the rapid change without building out systems have caused a lot of strain on charities and led to staff burnout. And this is apparent in your organization as well, as your new staff feel too overwhelmed and tired to work on stuff such as government grants. So let's look at how you can address your current capacity constraints that's hindering your organizational growth.
Your core and your home starts with your people. And so you want to make sure that they're not being overworked. So that's where we introduce the Renew Campus chapter, which increases support for Renew's fundraising and marketing efforts. Here, you want to identify university campus chapter leaders and increase university student involvement in roles such as fundraising, marketing coordinating, as well as with advocacy for your organization. And you also want to develop them into leaders who can eventually go into your organization and create an impact there too. And the impact overall on your organization is that your employees will have a reduced workload and allow an increase in capacity and a decrease in their overall work so that they're not as tired as they are.
And so your human resources coordinator at your Manitoba Renew location would be in charge of volunteer recruitment. And so this would consist of scanning Manitoba schools and pretty much applying criteria that make them eligible. So looking at whether they have a business school and a population of over 5,000 students. And so once that analysis is being conducted, it's about connecting with prospective chapter directors who would lead these on the ground initiative at these schools. And so at the end, your target is to target 3 schools within the first year. And so what does this look like? Well, pretty much the team at these universities is divided into 2 different subcategories. And so these include the Renew development team. So this includes students that would help you with fundraising and marketing efforts. As you know, that these are areas currently right now where you're experiencing overwork and overstress, and we believe that students could help you in mitigating that. And the second of which is actually the communications team, which allows you to spread your awareness throughout the community and advocate to students the mission and impact that you have within your community. And so the key metric that we want to outline here are new student volunteers and social media engagement that shows more engagement with the next and new younger generations. And so as a result of this recommendation, there are now 45 new volunteers that can help relieve this workload stress.
Looking at your timeline, we want to highlight some key milestones. The first being securing your donors and launching the Gaming for Good in the first year, and then 2 years from now, starting your campus chapters. A risk that we'd like to highlight is if the campus chapters for our third recommendation have difficulty getting support, then you can mitigate this by increasing this training for these campus leaders on attracting the student volunteers and having contingency plan and providing potential short-term support.
And so on an overview of our recommendations presented today, you came to us with the idea of fundraising $6.5 million as of today and meeting certain goals in the near to term future. And so in 2022, we proposed Donor Champions and Gaming for Good. As a result, we'll raise $3.5 million in 2022. The second and latter half of Gaming for Good will fundraise $3 million in between 2023 and 2024, in which you'll see yourself breaking even in 2024. And so a couple key assumptions in your Selling for Foundation, there are 32 new donor champions, 1 gold, 5 silver, and 25 bronze. As for building your support, there are 10 streams per year and 1.5 million in annual revenues as a result. And in securing your home, there are 3 chapters and 15 students per chapter.
To summarize the impact we've made for you today, we helped you build your home where the heart is, emphasizing that your donors and volunteers can help you help more constituents recovering.
Just as Rome was not built in a single day, a house is not built by a single person. Instead, it's built by a team, a community of people with a single purpose and goal. And with our recommendations today, your organization will be able to provide and build that home for so many more people who are facing substance use and substance use disorder and are in dire need of your help. Thank you so much. We will open the floor to any questions now.
Awesome. Thank you for your presentation. We'll open up to some questions here. And go ahead there, Eric.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I was wondering if you could just clarify the matching element of your fundraising plan. I thought I saw it brought up early with your premium donors that you were after, but then I thought it came up again with the Gaming for Good as well. So I just wondered if you could clarify that for me. Who would be matching and where that came in with your plan?
Of course, happy to answer your question. So as a donor champion, not only are you placing initial buy-in of each of these amounts that are listed, but an order of the tier also ranks with the different multiples of the donation match themselves. So these donation matches would be applied to the Twitch streams. So say you're a gold member, you donate $500,000 as an initial donor champion buy-in, and then following these Twitch stream events to kind of further unify these recommendations together, there's also a donation matching premium of 3 times that you'd be assisting the donation streams with on the streaming platforms.
Thank you.
And go ahead there, Phil.
Thank you for your presentation. I just have a question on the micro donations and I guess the reoccurrence of the donation. Do you have any data that kind of supports that if somebody's going to donate one time, you're just assuming that for each, I guess, stream or event that's had that they're going to continue with that donation, or are you anticipating that there's going to be more outreach? I'm just curious how you came to that conclusion.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And actually with targeting different streamers in different communities, one of the advantages is you're targeting a wide breadth of people. And what that does is that helps reduce the reliance on a certain group and the pressure on them to donate repeatedly. And so it burdens the dependence on them.
Thank you.
And Phil, go again.
Sorry, just one more. Within your revenues, was that net of expenses? So I'm just curious, like, what is the cost of a streamer, or are you anticipating that it's a volunteer commitment and that it would be done kind of free of charge?
Yeah,
So
this would be hosted by your current team. And so they would be the ones organizing the Twitch and then raising the funds there in partnership with the Twitch. And then Riley will answer the more quantitative part of this.
Yeah, so we've talked about the revenue side of things, but it's important to address the cost side of things. So here we've allocated $50,000 to donor recognition products, $100,000 to PayPal processing fee. So this is in line with their 2% fee across all of your aggregate donations. And training costs would be pretty much in terms of the cost equivalent of staff time allocated to other projects that would be used to educating these school chapters, as well as training materials provided to these 3 chapters.
And we still have about a minute and a half. And David, go ahead.
I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. My question is more about you're relying on finding like an influencer or several of them that you'll be able to raise funds through them in this micro donation strategy. I was wondering if you have considered any mitigation strategies in cases where you won't be able to find an influencer that will be able to work with you through Twitch or through other platforms.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's an excellent question. And we did consider a wide variety of both streamers as well as other celebrities and other people who are big on substance use, substance abuse, as well as just the recovery program of that. And so there are a lot of candidates. If it's not Twitch streamers, we could also go the route with celebrities, as well as just big people in the community, such as community leaders as well.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for your presentation today.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
listening.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.